What is going on, all-terrain nation? Whether it be two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, or these bad-ass little mid-sized trucks we all like to drive. This is your all-terrain nation. I'm your host, David Boyd, and today, that is right, we are talking some mid-sized trucks on here, and I guess some SUVs too, because, well, the game has changed, and I found this pretty interesting, and we'll get into it a little bit, because Ford has dropped a new tune on the Raptor models, and of course you can get the tune on the normal Broncos. They do have a tune for the 2.7 and the 2.3 liter EcoBoost, but the Raptor been kind of left out to dry for a little bit, and we've known this thing was coming for several months now, but we expected it was going to happen in July, and well, it just never happened. And finally, Ford Press, they dropped the news. But I want today's discussion. I want to get into talking about the power struggles. Where are we at with this? Every mid-size model, we're going to keep going to smaller and smaller engines, yet we got to keep getting more and more horsepower out of this. And it struck me funny, and I did a little video on the Ford tune last night, and thank you if you watched that. But I do find it interesting where we're going with this. We are a macho society. We want horsepower. We always want horsepower. And it just seems like we're fighting at two ends. We got to be environmentally friendly, but yeah, we want more horsepower. And I'm just amazed, within basically 12 years where we're at, because if you look at the Ford F-150 Ranger, or not Ranger, I'm sorry, F-150 Raptor, and you look at the debut of it and when it started, being produced in 2011, 400 horsepower in a V8, and that was a big 6.2 V8, and people were losing their minds. Just that was incredible. And as a kid, I remember just full-size trucks in general, once they broke the 200 horsepower, because they're like, what would you ever need over 200 horsepower? And well, look where we're at now with the little trucks, man. 455 horsepower, and that's what Ford is claiming with their new tune. So I hope everybody's having an awesome Friday. Sorry we haven't been able to do these here lately. My schedule has just been so busy. I've been on the road a little bit. My dailies kicking my ass. My daughter's kicking my ass with softball, and it's just travel. And I get a weekend off, but then I have a Honda Press event coming up. I've got to travel to Illinois. I'll be all over the map. So, and we got SEMA coming up as well. So I'll be at SEMA this year. But what is going on, everybody? Be sure to smash that like button for me if you would. I reached out to Mr. Tim, Mr. S. Hall, but I have a feeling. Let's see. Did he get back with me? No, he did not get back to me yet. I have a feeling Tim's on the golf course. Tim's getting those last. He's up there in Nebraska, trying to get those last little bit of good weather for golf. So I have a feeling that's where Tim's at today. But I hope once again everybody's having a great Friday. So if you didn't, I want to pull this up there if you haven't seen this just yet. So let's go ahead and we'll set the stage here. This is from Ford yesterday. It was performance upgrades available with the Ranger, Bronco, Raptors, and there's some new Raptor Rally news to talk about, because I think for the Raptor Rally, if you don't know it, Ford has a training center, the Raptor Assault Course in Utah, and it's where the F-150 Raptors were getting trained. And then a couple of months ago, they decided, hey, let's let the Rangers get in there, so the Ranger trucks can get in there as well. And of course, if you have the Bronco Raptor, you can go to Vegas. They have a special course out there for Vegas, and I was part of the initial. I think I was the first crew to go through that press-wise, to go through the Ranger course or the Raptor Bronco course. Man, there's too many R's in these. Too many R's in these. But any of these trainings are fun. But Ford has their Raptor Rally, which they're trying to get people to bring their own Raptors in, kind of as a yearly meetup. This is going to be an annual event. I think they would like to we're better in Utah. To be honest, Utah is amazing. Some of the best off-roading I've ever done is in Utah. And of course, in this picture, I mentioned this in the video that I dropped last night. I've been right in that spot. I was testing the F-150 Raptor R's in this very spot and having a blast with it. And I was very jealous when I saw this picture of the press release of the Ranger Raptor, but still a lot of fun. All these things are a lot of fun, but they're doing this gathering. I think it's $500 initially. I think it was $750, and I think they've had to pull back real quick on that pricing because they were like, "Uh-oh, nobody's signing up." But $500 gets you a couple shirts, two for you and your friend, I believe, can go. food. You get 3 meals, bunch of stuff. If you're interested in that, you can find that through all Ford's website. But they're also offering a discount on their tune. So if you're interested in going there, I think you get 20% off on their tune. So the tune is $825 if I remember right, which is pretty interesting, you know, considering the Ranger Raptor starts out at 405 horsepower, and they bump it up to 455 horsepower. And I made a comment that that's more than the F-150, Raptor. And that's ridiculous. I mean, just ridiculous. And of course, you know what that means. That means the Raptor, the big boy Raptor, is going to get, there's going to be a new generation coming, and you know it's going to be probably 500 horsepower. They got to keep it 50, 60, 75, horsepower away from the other one, because why get the full size then? Because you just want the full size truck. You want the big 3.5 in that thing, but that's all, that's really the only thing it's got going for it versus a little truck. I mean, it is a little more stylish. I shouldn't say that's all it's got. But anyway, so back to this press release. Both the Bronco and Ranger are getting this tune. It's made ready. And I said something about maybe they would do that in the Explorer ST as well, because let's make that thing a little rocket ship. But as you can see here, it says the Ranger. I'll highlight this so you can see what we're talking about. The Ranger Raptor torque jumps from 430 foot-pound of torque to 536. Over 100 foot-pound of torque with just this tune. And I was talking to a journalist friend. He was like, I wonder why they do this. Why offer these tunes? And it's like, well, for one, it's more profit. There's definitely a nice profit of $800 here for something that they probably don't have $100 worth of materials and time by the time you figure how many they're going to sell of this. But they, hold back a little bit. You're already beating the competition with the basic truck. And now the people that own these trucks have them coming, because I've seen a lot of comments in my video about, hey, I have a new Ranger Raptor coming. I'd call the dealership. I want the tune to go with it. Out of the box, almost 500 horsepower. In a midsize truck, that's freaking ridiculous. But you can see here also in the Bronco, it does the same. Of course, Bronco gets the it had just a hair more torque and horsepower. So it's going from 418 horsepower to 455 and 440 foot-pounds of torque to 536 there. So ever so slightly. Of course, Bronco's a little heavier, so I'm sure that's why there was the initial difference. But yeah. Either way, I have the tune coming for mine because I'm pretty excited to get an R Raptor. I want that tune, and I want to, I want all the horses I can get. Let's see. Mr. Johnson says, I want to see the gains with the E85 tune. Yes, that would be pretty wicked. And I know there's companies out there that are already tapping with these things and make the tune. But what I like about the Ford tune is it's back from the factory. And that means a lot to me. I mean, yeah, you can go to some of these aftermarket companies that'll get you more horsepower and stuff. But Ford, as long as you have it done by an ASE mechanic or a Ford dealership, they back it for 3 years, 36,000 miles for the warranty. So they're saying, hey, this will not tear up your vehicle. We've tested it. We're good. If so, we got your back on that, which I'm very happy about. And, the other manufacturers that do that may get you a little bit more horsepower. Are they willing to back up your motor and keep it going? But I thought this was a game changer. I really did. And there's not many things. I know we've seen tunes. Tunes are not like, oh my God, this is the first one ever. But we've seen tunes like this before, but Ford is coming at it strong, man. And it made me think, what are the other brands doing? How are they going to react to this? Because Ranger doesn't have a tune just yet, but they have one for the 2.7 and 2.3 in the Bronco. So it's only a matter of, hey, let's activate that. And I can see them getting, what is it, 315, I think, for the Ranger in the 2.7. In the Bronco, it's 330. Can you imagine them taking that up to maybe 345 somewhere in there for a tune in the just a normal Ranger? That would be pretty wicked. So it does open the door to where are the other brands going? And I got thinking about Toyota. Toyotas, they've kind of had, some issues getting their new truck launched. And it's a good looking truck. It's not my favorite by any means, but it's a good looking truck. But they came out of the box with the hybrid setup they wanted to do. And, with the new Tacoma there, we've got it right there. The iForce Max, where they They have a battery pack with this. It's a hybrid, but the hybrid, it's not for fuel economy. It's more to give a smaller displacement engine. So they're doing a small 2.4 liter turbocharged engine. And then you just let, between the flywheel and the motor, you give it a little turbocharge there with your EV pack, little electric motor there. I think it's like 48 watts. Yeah, it's right here. I see it right here. So 48 watts is what it will give, or 48 horsepower is what it offers for the truck. And that brings up that horsepower to I love this, and a whopping 465 foot-pound of torque, which now seems kind of okay. That's okay, I guess. And torque in pickup trucks, especially off-road trucks, that's where you want more torque. The horsepower is great, but the torque numbers is where it's at. But they're only at 326 horsepower now versus the normal Ranger, the Colorado, the Gladiator, all that. Those are nice numbers, but we don't live in nice numbers anymore. We live in, there's a new benchmark set. And how do these companies react? Because Toyota's always been very conservative anyways. They don't go out of their way to always have the most horsepower, but they created something with their TRD Pro now that is Raptor like. The launch video of it showed it racing an old Ironman Ivan Stewart race truck. And they definitely set the tone of, this is what the vehicle was about, is, hey, we're going to be a desert racer. And well, Ford now with their Ranger Raptor and these new numbers, that's pretty incredible. And I think, honestly, you should be able to order this truck from the factory, the Ranger Raptor and Bronco Raptors. I think you ought to be able to order it with the tune, just pre-installed. I want, do we call these R's? Do you call this an R version and then you get the tune? Because that would be pretty interesting to market it that way. Though I think they might have something down the road. Maybe it's the 3.5 to really have some fun in these things. But back to Toyota, they always set their numbers pretty conservatively. And I know it's about dependability and quality for them. So I get it, but the truck's already taken a hit. You put a 4-cylinder engine in this thing, but even before the truck launched, people were naysaying it. The Toyota faithful, they like their little V6, which, let's be honest, it was a Camry V6. It wasn't like the best ever, but it was a nice, dependable engine for that truck. And, very few problems we ever seen with that pickup truck like that. But with the other manufacturers, Toyota now, I feel like they're going to have to step it up. Like they can't always be, the last Tacoma was still pretty low in the horsepower, range, but they're having too many dings on this truck now. The design is a little something that either people like or they don't seem to like. There's a very no middle ground to that. I like the fact that we see here, they have their overlanding edition. So if you want, a fun, cool truck like that, I like the body styling of the truck. I think it's a very good looking truck. I drove the, let's see, what did I drive? The TRD Sport or no, TRD Off-Road a couple months ago. It was okay. It didn't impress me. Not driving it anyways. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a very impressive vehicle, but I didn't get into that thing thinking, oh man, this is sporty and fun, which I think now trucks should be. But so Toyota's, they've got to step it up. And I'm curious what you guys think on that, because that 326 horsepower, not going to cut it. And without the hybrid setup, they're in the 280s somewhere in there, and that really doesn't cut it. So does Toyota, do they have to rethink, and do they have to somewhat dump a V6 into this thing? I doubt they will, because they're a pretty conservative company and they just don't tend to let the outside noise bother what they're doing. But if that truck doesn't remain the top seller, I think there could be some noise there that gets people's attention. So what do you guys think about that? Next up is it's Nissan. You can see right here. Nissan is I've been a fanboy of Nissan because I like the underdog. I like the previous look of this truck. I'm not a big fan of these hard body look to this thing. If I could, I'd probably try to figure out how to put the old grill back in this. I doubt you can, but I don't like this grill at all in this truck at all. I'll have one for a review sometime this fall. And we'll see. Maybe it grows on me in person, but so far what I've seen of this vehicle, I'm just like, it just doesn't do it for me. But looks aside, it's a solid truck. You're getting a naturally aspirated V6 engine in this thing, but the problem with it now is it's starting to look very pedestrian. And I know it's an honest, it doesn't have all the crawl control features. It's just hey, it does what it does. But when you look at the horsepower now, once again, Ford set that benchmark pretty high with this thing. You look at that, the numbers it has now, and well, I don't know if it's enough. 310 horsepower, 281 foot-pound of torque. So we're in another planet with torque on the Ford, even the Tacoma. We're just in another planet of torque numbers. And Nissan's really going to have to step it up. And I'm surprised that they haven't kept the V6, but just dropped a turbo in this thing of some sort. Nissan, the import brands, including Toyota, they know turbo tech, and it doesn't scare me if they were to turbo this engine. I wouldn't freak out about it too much. And I've already been able to get, I think I got like 26 and a half somewhere miles per gallon in this thing on my Hyperloop, which is ridiculous. And in that video, I see comments all the time of people going, no, I average 24 to 25 highway. So, the motor can do it. And if you add the turbo to it and let that engine relax just a little bit, the fuel economy could be through the roof. Plus, you're going to get those torque numbers at least in the threes. But I think they better benchmark 330, 340 for any motor refreshes they do of this thing. And there is a Nissan faithful. There's companies out there like Z1 Motorsports, Z1 Off-Road who do a lot with this truck. They can tune this thing. They've had quite a bit of success with this truck. So there are things you can do with this. Of course, they do what they call Titan swapping of these things, which has been around forever. And you can drop a V8 Titan engine in these things. All the body mounts pretty much are just it's pretty much plug and play to do that. As long as you want to spend the money. But can you imagine getting 400 horsepower, a V8 Titan in this thing? And could you imagine the people that would love if they tightened? I would call it the Titan swap. I would, or something to that. Nissan, they missed the mark so many ways, but they could put a V8 in this thing. They had a V8 in the Pathfinder, the last generation Pathfinder, and it was great. But they could drop a V8 in this thing, make it a desert running full. I dropped a photo a couple years ago of the supposed Warrior edition that they were trying to do with this thing, that they were showing dealers at the time, getting dealers all pumped up. Do that. And now if you do that, you benchmark this against the Ranger Raptor with the 455 horsepower. I don't care if it was the normal 400 horsepower that V8, that 5.6 V8 gets in it. I get more excited when I push that push button start and you hear a V8 fire up versus, the growl of the little V6. I mean, V8 growl is worth a couple horsepower losses in my opinion. I think there's some pride in the ownership of that as well. But this truck, the Nissan's really got to step their motors up. They're going to have to make this truck a little bit more viable. Once again, the normal, the 2.3 in the Ranger is 280s, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but for the 2.3 horsepower and the torque's still above what this one does. So come on, Nissan, definitely give us a little bit more. Give us something to play with there. But I am curious where you guys at with the Nissan. Do you think they should they jump into this game and really pump up and start playing, or do you think Nissan's just comfortable being the kind of odd guy out, that they're just like, we're happy with the numbers we do, we make money, we don't want to get into that? Because you do racing ish cost money, and to compete with the Joneses, you definitely there's going to be some costs associated with that, but some advertising especially, and I think it would be good for the brand. It would be good for the brand to take on the Raptor, because they tried to do it with the Titan and they just never followed through with it with the Warrior Edition Titan. Now I said it at the time they launched it on my old podcast, the Nissan Nation podcast, that they launched it with a diesel. That was so dumb, just so dumb to have a diesel sitting in that Warrior Edition. And if you're interested in that truck, you can see it at Z1 Motorsports. They have it in their showroom. But they did a lot of great with that truck that could translate into this, but V8, got to be a V8, man. I would kill to see the V8 in this thing. Call it the Titan swap, call it whatever you want. And you could just call it the Frontier Titan. There'd be a lot of association with that. People know what the Titan truck is. Now, it doesn't have the cachet that the 1500 Chevrolet or whatever does, but people would know about it. but I'm curious where you're at with this, so let me know about that. Next up, we are going to talk about a truck that I don't talk about a lot on here because, well, it's kind of a truck and it's kind of not. It's its own thing. It's the Swiss Army knife. I've owned one of these. I actually liked it quite a bit now, but the one flaw that this thing has is, well, horsepower. We're looking at the Gladiator, and this is the latest press release that I could find on the Gladiator because, well, Stellantis, their media sites are they're pretty bad. They're pretty difficult between them and Chevrolet. Some of the worst in the auto industry of trying to figure out their press sites. But Gladiator has been around for a little bit. You know, it's due for both it and the Wrangler due for a major refresh. They just got their sort of mid-cycle refresh, but I think in the next 2 years or so, the way numbers are going down for this and the SUV, they're going to have to react. They're going to have to, because you've allowed, like with Ford, you've allowed their Bronco to steal some sales. Now, are they head to head? It's not where I think Ford would like that to be, but guess what? They've plucked sales away from that, and it's definitely there's some good things. I was talking to the Ford design team for Bronco a couple weeks ago, just out off-road and having fun with them. And you know, I told them, I was like, there's some game changers with the way Bronco does with the mirrors built into the truck, stuff like that. And they agreed. And I said, you know, your competition is going to copy that. So this truck is definitely due for a refresh. But the biggest thing they're going to have to refresh is this motor. This 3.6 they put in this thing is as now it's underwhelming. That was one of the downfalls I had of it when I owned it. It was a competent, yes. Did I ever feel like I was going to get run over on the highway? Not at all. But, you know, I never felt like, oh man, I'm comfortable with where this is at. I could stomp it and not spiritedly throw me back in my seat, but you know, enjoy that. Oh, this truck will get up and go. Not at all. But they've got an engine, you know, the Hurricane engine is just sitting there waiting to be used. And I don't know, you know, because the EV trend, especially companies like Stellantis, they were all about EVs. Oh, we got to go EVs, and they're a lot like Nissan. They never have a lot of money to spend. So they're kind of a one track, you know, like a one train track mind. We go over here. Oh, the industry's changed. Let's back up. We got to get the train back over there now. So they don't pivot well as you know, Chevrolet and Ford does. But you know, the current truck is, I had numbers up here. It's weak. There it is. Here's the standard. This is the standard numbers on this thing, which is 3.6 liter V6 making 285 horsepower and 261 foot-pounds of torque. That's awful. 260 foot-pounds of torque in a truck is just awful, and that may have worked for the Wrangler, but we'd expect trucks to do truck things, right? To tow. What's up, Ronald? And aloha from Tennessee. But trucks have to do truck things, and I think that's been one of the flaws of the Gladiator. Overall, it's a Swiss Army knife. It does a little of everything. I love traveling with the doors off of it. Everything about it was easy to do, other than, you know, having to put mirrors back on it when you had the doors off. Taking the roof off was fun, though it's not like having a Wrangler exactly. I don't know, it just looks weird, a truck in that shape, but I did it from time to time and enjoyed cruising around, getting the breeze through my lack of hair, my hair that keeps blowing through the wind. Um, I'm I think that if they were to bring the new Hurricane to this truck, it solves a lot of problems, because even detuned, I want to say it's in the 400 horsepower range, and I think you could detune it even more for the truck to put it in maybe the 350 range. But you've got to have some some torque in this thing. Of course, it's a turbo engine. It's if I remember, it's a bi. I haven't read up on this engine in a while, but it's a bi-turbo engine. So that's cool. That's where they get a lot of their horsepower from. But it would solve Jeep's problem, and it's a cheap fix. Oh, it's a parts bin fix. We just pull that, put it in there, and then suddenly we're playing with the big boys again. Where I think the truck design wise, when it came out, it freaked the midsize segment out exactly, because they're like, oh man, we've been wanting this. Jeep gave us what we wanted. And I remember watching the press. I wasn't at that press event, but watching Jeep's CEO at the time talking about, hey, we know what customers want. You know, they made sure that you could get a 35-inch tire under the rear of this, because they knew People are going to go buy a basic one, a sport, and they're going to go and put 35-inch tires in it because it's what they want. They know their customer base so well till it comes to motors. And of course, Stellantis right now they're just a shit show of a company. And I hate to be that way. And I know people that work over there, and they're amazing people. And some of the design team they have is some of the best in the business, but they're being handicapped right now by the way the European business wants to run this company, because that doesn't work for the way American companies do. And I know we're a global world now, but let's be honest, I don't see any Gladiators across the pond, really. I don't see Australia getting the Gladiators, so they need to start catering the Gladiator towards America, and they want horsepower. And even if they did a hybrid version of this, I would be pro hybrid version of this, though I don't know where you would stick the battery pack. You already don't have any room, cargo storage room with the seat, though it is best in class as far as seating position. You get a lot of room in the Jeep Gladiator, but engine wise, it's weak sauce right now. And I'm curious where you guys are at with this one, because once again, benchmark. Now, they don't take on the Raptors, but they do have their desert running version. It's not really I wouldn't say it's a true Raptor take vehicle, but they do have something that you can go have some fun with it. So let us go have some fun with it. Of course, Gladiator at some point, and Wrangler in general, independent front suspension is coming to these things. The previous CEO said, "Hey, it's coming." Now, I think they always do a Rubicon version that has a solid axle because they can, but they're going to have to take on the better driving vehicles as well. So Jeep with the Gladiators got a couple things they need to hit on, and maybe improve and bring it up to today's standards. Let's see. Aaron says Walter P. Chrysler's Grand Sub submitted a proposal to purchase Mopar lines earlier this week. I have to check into that. I haven't paid much attention to that. Let's see. Zach says the algorithm works. I'm trying to decide between a Tacoma and Ranger. It's a tough choice. I think I really think in this day and age, I know people are brand loyal, but I suggest people go sit in both of them, check them out, and I would say sit in the Chevrolet as well. Just go check them out, take them for a drive, and be honest with yourself when you do it. Now, look, I've owned a lot of Ford products. I've owned a lot of Nissan products. I've owned Chevrolet products. I've owned everything. I know a lot of what people see on this channel is me owning Ford right now. To me, I was thinking about it. It's a lot like Android or Apple. I'm very comfortable with for my family use. I'm very comfortable with the sync setup, the way the vehicles are. But I would own another brand in a heartbeat. I just right now for us, the Ford vehicles where we've liked as a family. But go test them both out, man. I'm telling you, go test them out, drive them all, and see which one. Because the Chevrolet, I really like the interior of the Chevrolet, the Colorado, and the GMC especially. GMC especially is my favorite look. It's my buddy Ronald there knows. He was part of my Nissan family, and he moved to GMC because he loves it. But it's GMC to me has the best aggressive grill, especially when you put a little bit more aggressive tire under that pickup truck. Looks great. So, but I definitely suggest trying them all out. But as we end this with the Gladiator, 32-inch tires. I think you can get 33s with their Rubicons and stuff. Let's see here. The Rubicon X, where was it? Rubicon doesn't say, but I believe there are 33-inch tires under that. And people have been begging for the 35-inch Recon package into this thing. And I don't think I'm pretty sure, because I kind of keep up with Jeep a little bit. I don't think they've even attempted to do this for the Jeep like they have the Wrangler. Gladiator sitting over there going, "Hey, I want some love too." And I don't know if it's just they don't care. I was told once by I think it was Tim. We were talking about this thing. He said he had heard it was a one and done vehicle, like it was a one generation and then they move on again. I don't know why, because they do sell them. Does it steal Wrangler sells? Probably a little bit, but who cares? You're moving metal. The parts are very similar, other than the framing. The cab of the doors. There's not a lot of they had to make different. So it's in my opinion, that truck was a home run. What's up, Steve P from Arizona? But as I wind this one down for Jeep, I think they've got to look seriously in the mirror and be like, "Hey, we're better than this. We're Jeep. We know off-road vehicles, especially, we got to get in there and fight because you remember the old 4 liters they used to call high output or whatever that I forget what it was under. They were very proud of it under that 4 liter, and they don't seem to be there anymore. So, and as I talk about, man, my voice has been scratchy today, so that's why you keep seeing me grabbing the water bottle. And my Coke Zero is brand new, flat. Ugh, just awful. But you know what brand's coming? I was just talking about them, which is Chevrolet. See it right there. Out of the box, came out. This is their old press release because they haven't updated anything. But out of the box, this truck looks great. Just freaking great. Very aggressive. The ZR2 that you see right there compared to the Raptor, very comparable. Both offer something slightly different. I think the ZR2 is more of a rock crawler than the Raptor is, but the Raptor is more of a desert runner. Both offer something unique. I like the metal grills or bumpers that they could put on the ZR2. I think it looks fitting for that vehicle. In that form right there is 33-inch tires. You can get it with 35s with the Bison package, which is nuts. Price of it's also nuts. But the one thing they lack, horsepower. I've said this on. It's been my one flaw for this vehicle, and what kept me from buying this vehicle is the horsepower. 310 horsepower on this thing, and it's just not enough because it's from a 2.7 4-cylinder, which is a pretty big 4-cylinder. But it's in this day and age when they just dropped this thing. So here, and has changed. There was the I think the Plus they've done away with. I think it's either you get the low horsepower, or you get the normal horsepower. They've done away with that goofy. Do you kind of want horsepower? You don't. But if you look at the base of the Chevrolet with the Colorado, the 2.7 is going to make 237 horsepower. That's pathetic. Now, it's a commuter truck. It's a box store truck. It's for people that need fleet vehicles. So I get that. Max trailering 3,500 pounds. That's ridiculous. But once again, I understand the point of that vehicle. And I think it's their way of taking on, Ford with the Maverick. I really do. I think they're like, we don't want to make a Maverick style vehicle, so we'll just lower the thoughts of the Colorado a little bit. But if you look at the high output, and I love they call this a high output. So 310 horsepower, 430 foot-pound of torque. So very torquey. Me and Kelly were able to take the Bison out and off-road it just a little bit. Nothing extreme. Definitely got a feel for how punchy that truck is, and it's very punchy. I mean, you'll feel it. Like you get into the pedal, it just you definitely feel it, and it's definitely more of a rock crawler kind of punchy, which is good. Don't get me wrong, but 310 horsepower, that's awful. And Chevrolet has to be. They've got to be out there kicking themselves, going, "Why didn't we do more?" Now, 4-cylinder engine, they're trying to be conservative a little bit. Once again, you're getting more out of the gate than Toyota's giving you in the TRD off-road. So the base setup there, you're getting way more horsepower than they're giving. But the ZR2, it's not special enough to me. Yes, front rear lockers, that's great, and I would love that. But a lot of people, there is that measuring contest that you have with your neighbors, and he goes like this, and you're like this, like it's just it's human nature. We love to compete, and those aren't numbers that you can compete with now. Once again, the Ranger Raptor with the potential of 450 horsepower, 300 or 500 and what was it, 35 foot-pounds of torque or whatever the number was. Like this looks very pedestrian. And Jeep, you look at Jeep and go, okay, it's different. It's acceptable because it's just strange. It's not really a true midsize. It's not truly taking on pickup trucks. It's doing its own thing. But Chevrolet is taking on this segment, and ZR2 should have been out of the gate 425, 430, or I'm sorry, 325, 330. The torque numbers are fine, though. If you crank up those turbos anymore, you're going to get more torque out of it. And it bothers me that either it's this environmental thing we're going through of Barry, the CEO, wanted to be all EV almost a couple years. That's not going to happen. So I feel like they've kind of they've kind of set themselves back a little bit compared to the industry, where Ford's been very quick to pivot. Oh, we want to do an EV. We'll have it out in 2 years. And they did with the F-150 Lightning. That, they didn't take much design effort for them to do that truck because it's based on the F-150 anyways. Now they do have a second generation Lightning that I think will be more tailored towards EV, less towards the F-150 framing. So I will look forward to that. But I don't know what GM's deal was with this. I know, there was time where they weren't going to develop any more V8s, and they came out last year and said, "Oh no, we've got a new V8 coming." So the market needs to fix this problem. And I'll be honest though, those sales have been pretty good for all of these except for Toyota and maybe Nissan. They need to get the sales up of mid-sized trucks anyways. It's just my opinion. It's just not enough at this time. And I think you're going to have to find unique ways of doing that. And it's easy to brag about horsepower, but it talks about there's going to be several enhancements for 23 year. No, they need to, for 25, they need to have some sort of tune out for this thing. They're just there to get you 310 horsepower. Once again, Chevrolet's been pretty conservative. They don't go out on a limb they would like some reliability. So I get it, but come on, Chevy. It's a good looking truck. Look at this thing. That's an aggressive looking truck. And especially if you put some more meaty MT tires on that thing, holy cow, gonna knock you out. But as is, across the board, look, 310 horsepower, 310 horsepower, 310 horsepower. What would, other than front lockers and just a slightly larger lift on the ZR2, the Trail Boss would be pretty unique. If they offered a rear locker in it, I think it's just a limited slip. But if they were offered just a rear locker in that, because Ford's going to bring a trimmer to the United States in the Ranger with a rear locker. So Chevrolet across the board needs to get their shit together just a little bit, because I love the design, and I do prefer the GMC looks a little bit better. But damn, this is a good truck. And where are we going with this? What is going on with this truck? Why is one of the pride of America trucks seem to be honestly third best, maybe? I would put right now the Ranger Raptor up there, TRD Pro under that, and ZR2 under that, but it would have to be the Bison, which are $65,000 to $70,000. If you're in the GMC, you're $76,000. So, and you look at the Raptor now, $800 to get that tune, $825, whatever it is. Mine was $58,000. I'll drop $800 more under that, and a big FU to all your other buddies with mid-sized trucks. I mean, am I dumb there? Let me know in the comments, but am I dumb to think that $800 more? And yes, sign me up. And I think all these companies now, they should do that. $1,000, you want more horsepower? People will do it. People love ordering custom trucks now, so it wouldn't bother me. I waited for my Ranger for almost a year. If midway through they went ahead and said, "Hey, Ford, we're going to do this tune. Oh, by the way, $1,000, put it on your car. You'll never notice that in your car payment, and you got the most badass midsize truck on the market." Hell freaking yes. Hell yeah. If you guys have any comments, let me know. I may have to cut this in short just a little bit because my voice is trying to go away. And I'll be sure to I know you guys love when Tim's on these shows, so I'll be sure to get Tim on there as well next time. I'm curious, give me your top 3 trucks in the comments. Where do you rank them just based on what we've talked about today? Obviously, horsepower is key of what we're talking about today, but where are you at? Steve P says $800 for extra horsepower all day long. That is a win. I agree. That is a win. And I think these other manufacturers, Steve, can do that. So if you're watching this after fact, definitely give me a comment. I'm curious where you're at with this in the comments below. Give me your top 3, top 5, whatever you want to do. Because, I'm kind of a Ford channel at the moment, though that's accidentally. But right now, I hate to say it, Ford wins out in this. So you know what to do. Leave me the comments. So that is going to be it for today. It's a little shorty, but 40 minutes in, and my voice is like, "Hey, Dave, can we take a break?" So in the comments, let me know what you do. Smash that like button for me. If you haven't subscribed, you come across this, go ahead and hit subscribe, ring that bell, because when you ring that bell, when I do these live streams, you know instantly. If you don't ring the bell, you don't know when we do live streams. So whether it be 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, or these badass little mid-sized trucks, you know I love to drive. This has been your All-Terrain Nation. I'm your host, David Boyd, and we're out. Peace, everybody. Love y'all.